This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome aboard for your very own live and interactive safari coming to you from South Africa down here in Djuma Private Game Reserve. Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you again. My name is Trishala with Davi on camera this morning, actually. I've been away for a little bit, but I'm so happy to be back with you, and I hope that you guys are happy too. Now, we also have to welcome some families that are joining us. We're so happy, and it's such a pleasure to have kids joining us for the first 45 minutes in the morning as well. And that means... excuse you, Darby, just giving it a wipe. That means that you can send your questions through to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag WildEarth or the YouTube chat stream or Twitch, whichever is your pleasure. And we have families from England, the USA, Hawaii, Canada, and Australia. I'm sure all over the world as well. And we are very, very, very happy to have you on board. Now, we have some plans for today. You know, when I come back from not being out for a while, my plans usually involve just kind of getting around and enjoying everything, enjoying the beauty of being out in the bush, which is always fun. But then I've also got to do some work, and that includes looking for some tracks and looking for some animals to show you wonderful people. It's not too bad weather-wise today. It's about 17 degrees Celsius, so 62 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a little bit heavy. Air's a little bit thick. But I think that's because it's probably going to be a bit of a warm day. Not sure though, because I haven't looked at the weather. It's generally very inaccurate, and unless I feel it at the time, the weather's usually wrong. So I tend to not look at it too much. But it feels like it's going to be a warm day. So I'm going to go west a little bit, and that would be wonderful if I could catch a glimpse of Hukumuri or Shudulu. They're the leopards that are out in the west. Hukumuri is the dominant male there, and Shudulu is the dominant female, and she's got a little cub as well, Kara. So that would be awesome, but I have no leads at this point, but that's part of the job too. To look for some tracks and any other little signals and clues that the bush might give us. So really, we're investigators this morning, kids. We're going to be solving a mystery of where are the leopards. Now, there's a lonely Impala running about there. Neil, I got part of your question, and that was it. And as soon as the Impala decided to hide from us because they heard your question, Neil. But I heard something about what I look for in the dark. Is that what I heard correctly? Did I, Natalie? What am I looking for and spotting in the dark? Neil, I think you know the answer to that question, don't you? None other than the chameleon, the elusive, all-knowing, all-seeing, because of their eyes, chameleon. But it's not dark enough to be able to use a spotlight to be able to do that at the moment. It's actually pretty light. Apart from that, of course, I'm looking for the eyes in the darkness. But at the moment, we're just going to have to rely on our eyes and not the spotlight so much. So here's our first clue, kids. This is an area called quarantine. And quarantine is a clearing, which means that it's nice and open. And because it's nice and open, all the antelope like to chill around in it. They just chill, they sit, they eat. It's a very nice, safe place for them. But there's quite a few. Fewer than I expect out here. Now that could be a clue. Here's one. Hello, beautiful Impala. So far I've seen 3 on quarantine, and usually there's hundreds. There's wildebeest, there's Impala, there's the occasional steenbok bounding about, and there are very few. So why do I say this could be a clue? Because if they could smell a predator, they are not as keen to hang about on quarantine. So there's clue number 1. I think that's a good clue. but that depends if they've moved down, maybe to a waterhole. It's a waterhole just down in front of me, but we're not going to go down that spot at the moment. We're going to go out west, because the most important thing would be to find some tracks. That would be our second clue, and if I find some of those, I'll let you know. But I am not the only one out. James Henry is too, so let's go to him to say good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to this end of the Sunrise Safari. My name is James Henry, on camera is Owen, and it's quite a chilly day out here, and it's very nice to be doing a kids dedicated drive for the first 45 minutes. And so I'm sure, as Trishala has said, if you happen to be between the ages of 0 and 18, please feel free to send through your questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. The rest of you, well, you'll have to wait 45 minutes or pretend to be a child or a teenager, because a teenager is not really a child, is it? No, it isn't. Just the grass, Owen. Let us get the grass, which has caught a whole lot of mist during the course of the evening. Dew, not mist so much. And let's listen to the dawn chorus. Now the best thing to listen out for there, apart from all the bird song, which is very beautiful, is the tapping of the bearded woodpecker, going tuck, 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 tuck. Let's see if it does it again. Did you hear it? Now that's a territorial tap. So the bearded woodpecker is doing that on a hollow piece of tree. And all the bearded woodpeckers at this time of the day will go and play the drum, basically, on these hollow trees. And that tells all the other bearded woodpeckers that this is their territory. Otherwise you can hear doves and drongos and crested francolins, rattling sesticula's, hornbills, southern boo-boos, chagras, blue waxbills, white-browed scrub robins, bar-throated apellices. Phew, lots to hear. Crested barbet, Burchell starling. Let's move ahead. The sun hasn't yet come up, and shortly it will. Always a good idea when you're out here to leave the bustle of the camp, come out, turn off, stop and listen, because you'll get lions roaring their last calls around about this time, hyenas may be whooping their last territorial calls, you might even hear a leopard sawing, but mostly you just get a tremendous, wonderful peace and wonder from the calls of all the birds. Now we're going to go 40 kilometers to the north to andBeyond Ngala Private Game Reserve in the Timbavati, where Sean is waiting to say hello.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a very cold and misty andBeyond in Ngala. So this morning you're with myself, Sean, and we've got Marcel behind the camera. And a special welcome to all the kids that are joining on our first morning kids show. Very, very cool. What we have been doing for the last sort of 20 minutes is, while myself and Marcel were waking up this morning, we heard a lion. There was a lion roaring. It sounded like right outside of the camp, like right outside in the river. And then we dropped down into the river and it was just mist. We couldn't actually see the other bank. It was crazy how thick it was. And the lion hasn't called again. Since we left the camp, we haven't heard him calling. So we've driven a bit of the river to see if we could find anything. Very interesting question from James. Now, James is 8, living in Perth. Hello, James. And James wants to know how we decide where we're going to go for that morning. James, a lot of it, well, for me at least, depends on what was seen yesterday and then what we're going to look for. So, okay, today was special because we heard the lion calling, James. Then we said, let's go look for that lion. So we went to where we heard him calling. But generally, we know. So yesterday, Rowan found the wild dogs in the south. So if we were looking for wild dogs, we would then go south. You know, if we were looking for leopards, we would head this way because this is where the leopards were seen yesterday. So we go in that direction. So a lot of it depends on which animals were found where yesterday. And then what Marcel wants to see today. That's how we choose. There we go. But you know, so like we know our best chance to see lions, we would have to go to the east. Our best chance to see elephants would be maybe along the rivers. And then James, we were headed to those sorts of areas. So although it looks like we're just sort of driving around randomly, we're actually going into very specific areas where animals have territories, where they were seen. And then we start the search. But it's a cold morning, as I said, very misty. So Marcel and I are hoping for activity. Got a question from Canyon. Now Canyon's 5 years old. Canyon, you're wanting to know, would a lion or a leopard chase after a laser pointer like your cats at home? Canyon, I must say, I don't actually know. I don't think so. I've never done it. I don't think it would be too nice to the animal to do it, in case they do run away. Maybe a cub, maybe a young one might get inquisitive and chase after the laser canyon. But I think an adult would either run away or just ignore it. I don't know, as I said, I've never tried. Yeah, I won't try, unfortunately, but no, I've never done it. Never done it. Anything yes. I will think on it, Canyon, and try and come up with a clearer answer for you. But while we do that, while we look and hope this lion calls us again, sounds like James has found an animal for the morning.
We've got our eggies here. This is the eggies of the little grebe. And it can't be too long now, hopefully, before they hatch. Very attentive parents, and you might just be able to hear them going tip, tip. There you go. Now what I think so interesting is that they don't seem to get cold swimming in this water. It's quite chilly today, 17 degrees Celsius. That's pretty cold. Doesn't get that much colder than here in winter. You see the parent? Hello, Ansel in Michigan. In lockdown, our movements in this game reserve are slightly curtailed, so it does mean that there are one or two extra places we can go when we aren't in lockdown. But in general, no, not really. On the game reserve, we can go wherever we normally go. There are lots of places we can't go because of human property laws. The animals can cross the boundaries, but we're not allowed to. But that doesn't change with lockdown. And then the last thing we'll look at here is the Egyptian geese. There's a flock of Egyptian geese coming down to the water. An adult and 4 youngsters, looks like. Jane, these are not ducks. These are little grebes, and I know they look like ducks, but they're not really ducks. Are you on the geese now? Right, so those are the Egyptian geese, which are ducks. Those are definitely ducks. But the grebes that built the nest are not ducks at all. And they build it in the water because it keeps it safe, basically, from predators. So if you look at the nest again, we're on the nest. You look at the nest again, here comes the parent. What you will see is that it's surrounded by water, and that means that there are very few predators that will be able to get to it, such as little mongoose and that sort of thing, which would eat eggs. And so hopefully those eggs will stay safe. Now look, she's going to climb up onto her nest. Oh, look, isn't that beautiful? Maybe she'll cover the eggs. Sometimes they put leaves over the eggs, and sometimes they sit on them. Oh, look. Hello, Clay, Hannah, and Heidi. We don't know if all the chicks will survive. They actually have what's known as a very poor survival rate. So very few baby grebes make it to being adults. But maybe these guys will be lucky. Isn't that special? She's just making the nest nice and neat around her. And she'll sit on the eggies and keep them nice and warm. I too can just hear a lion calling, but it's so far away that I know it's outside of our reserve. But at least we know there are lions around. All right, let's move on from here and carry on. What a beautiful way to start our day, hey? Where are all the snakes, Canyon? Are you wondering where all the snakes are? There are lots of snakes around, but snakes don't really like to see us. And so, thankfully, we don't see that many of them. And I say thankfully just because, of course, if you're walking around, you don't want to see too many snakes because you might stand on one. But there are lots of snakes around. They're very shy, and they're very afraid of human beings. Much more afraid of us than we are of them. So, although we do see snakes from time to time, there are not that many sight of snakes. Trishala is now already hot on the trail of the next animal.
Yes, I am. So here's another clue for us kids. It is a leopard track, and it is a male. It's quite large, but we're going to talk about it a little bit. So here it is. Darby is showing it to you. You can see there's 3 lobes. 1, 2, 3. That's its palm. This part here of its hand. and you can see that it's got 4 toes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you look at the toes of your cat or your dog, you can see that it also has 4 toes, and it has the dew claw up there. So there's only 4 that make contact with the ground, and then there's that 3-lobed pad. So that's how I can tell that it's a leopard track. I can tell that it's a male because it's pretty large. It's about the size of my palm. A female is kind of fits into my palm, so it's a lot smaller. It's actually quite easy to tell the difference because there's such a big difference in it. When there's cubs, that's a bit more difficult. But I can see that, in the morning you get this wet dew that falls in the grass. That dew has already fallen on this track here. So this track is not from this morning, or it's probably from last night, I would think, given that it's a bit rounded at the edges. It's not very sharp, and also it's got that dew that's settled on it from this morning. Now, apart from that, we go and we look up at the junction. Now, this leopard is moving west in the opposite direction that we're driving in, and when we looked up at the junction, which is where those roads do that, we looked for tracks and we didn't see any, but there were elephants that had walked on them. So obviously these tracks are now from before the elephants had walked, and if it were very fresh, then it would have walked on top of that soil that the elephants had kicked up. So even though it's a nice clue that the bush is giving us that there are predators around, it's not worth following up on because it's quite old. It's from last night. Interesting. I like to find tracks. It's always nice to give you a bit of direction for the day, so you can focus on something. But these tracks, not very, very fresh. But that's okay, because this road is going to take us down towards the hyena den. Hello, Adriana, age 10 in the USA. How are you? I hope that you're really well. You'd like to know if the leopards have any predators. A leopard is a predator, and you'll find that other predators like leopards, cheetahs, lions, hyenas, those animals actually don't actively get preyed upon. So they won't have somebody that comes and stalks it and tries to hunt it. Usually, if a predator does get injured and sometimes eaten by another predator, that's because they want to defend themselves or they want to eliminate competition. That means that if you are in class and there's a coloring competition, I'm sure, Adrian, you're good at coloring competitions. I don't know, when I was 12, did I do coloring competitions? I probably did. And you find that there's other people that are really good at it. What that would mean, hang on, let's just have a look here quick. It's the same leopard track. So you would want to try and make sure that you don't have to compete with them, because if you have to compete with them, you might not win. So maybe you'll try and organize the competition, or try and get your teacher to organize the competition at a time when maybe they're not at school, something like that. That means that you're trying to eliminate your competition, and that's what predators will do as well. There are a lot of tracks here, except they do it in a lot more violent way. Here we have a whole lot of hyena tracks. Hi Sarah, that's an awesome question. You're 7 years old from Canada. You'd like to know, where are the tracks coming from? Well, we're going to find out, because if tracks are originating, that means they're starting down there in the opposite direction in which we're moving, and they're heading up west. So we're going to find out where they start. But unfortunately, Sarah, that doesn't help us too much, because we need to find where the animal is, and where it was is only helpful if we're looking for maybe a kill or something like that. There are a lot of hyena tracks all over the place. Alright, I'm going to keep on looking at tracks. I'll send you over to James with a lovely bird.
This is a Natal spurfowl, and if you look very carefully at it, You won't be able to tell from where you're looking. It's only got 1 foot. See? Some tremendous injury has happened to it. And it's walking on a stump. But still it survives. Now, no vet, no doctor, no medical attention would have come for that francolin when it lost its foot. It's managed to survive all on its own. What a clever, strong, brave bird, I'd say. I think he's missing more than just the foot as well. I think he's missing half the leg. So maybe that was bitten off by a genet or a African wildcat, Owen was suggesting, or a mongoose. Something that tried to catch this poor bird, and it managed to escape. Louise, who is in our final control room, watching and taking your questions and feeding them through, says that she wants to call it Peggy. I think I want to call it Long John Franklin. Let's go round the corner and see if Long John Franklin still wants to see us. He's gone off the road now. Has Long John Franklin. There we go. Tally-ho, you say this is number 152 on your bird list, the Natal spurfowl. I'm surprised you've got to 152 without a Natal spurfowl on your list. That's great. I mean, they're just not uncommon. We see them relatively frequently. Or maybe you've added number 152, one-legged Natal spurfowl to your list. John, I think the evidence is there in plain sight for you to see. A bird definitely can survive with only one leg. That injury is not new. There's no blood, there's no bleeding, there seems to be very little discomfort. The bird is happily walking on the stump. So yes, a bird can survive with only one leg. I suppose it depends on the bird, though. I can't imagine an ostrich being able to survive with only one leg. This francolin can fly. Don't forget. Apparently the viewers are now siding with Louise and saying that we should call this francolin Peggy. Well, I'm just going to respectfully disagree, and as I'm the one that's looking at it, sorry for you. If you want to call it Peggy, you can call it Peggy, but in my heart it will always be Long John Franklin, the pirate bird of Twin Dams Road. Yes, Tony, it does. It just needs an eye patch, and it needs a parrot sitting on its shoulder. A miniature parrot, about 1 inch long. And an earring. Perhaps, I'm sure some of you are missing this reference because many of you are young. But I think Long John Silver the Pirate comes from Treasure Island, doesn't he? By Robert Louis Stevenson, and he's a very famous pirate, and I think he only had one leg. So instead of Long John Silver, we've got Long John Franklin, the pirate bird.
Maybe Long John
It might be Long Joan Franklin as well, yes. Why, she got no spur?
Can't see.
Might be Long Joan or Long John Franklin, but all he or she needs is an eye patch, a bandana, an earring, and a very small parrot sitting on her shoulder. One of the people who watches the dam cam fastidiously and does various other things for us, Karen, is saying that she's been watching a one-legged Franklin on the dam cam for a long time, and maybe this is him. Could be. It's not too far from the dam. Certainly one leg or a missing leg is a good way to identify a Franklin or spurfowl. They're otherwise utterly indistinguishable from each other. Sam, I don't know what the life expectancy of a Franklin is. I'm going to guess probably around 10 years, maybe 10 or 12 years. And I have absolutely no idea how old he or she is. What a cool sighting. Good. Let's continue. We'll go back to Sean up at Ngala, where I hope the mist has lifted to allow him to find the animals of that magnificent reserve.
I'm still busy looking. See, all of our birds, they all got 2 legs. Luckily, we don't have a peg leg. That's quite interesting to see. And to know, I heard James was discussing how it survived. I mean, how adaptable these animals are to survive a situation where, you know, humans wouldn't. Very cool. These animals are hardy. And apparently very good at hiding, like this lion. So we haven't heard him again. So we've actually left where we think he is, where he's walking around, or at least where we heard him calling. We've left him there until he calls again. And we're going to head down now along here, see if we can find something else. Hoping for some giraffes, maybe even an elephant. And we'll see what fresh tracks we can find. Now it's a little bit easy because this fog is creating like a layer of moisture. So Isaac, Isaac's 12 years old from Arizona, and Isaac wants to know how we know where the lions are every day. So Isaac, we don't actually. We guess where they are. So these are lions that we know, that we see quite often, just from working here. So we have learned a little bit about their movements. You know, where they like to travel, their territories, where they head for water, things like that. So we say, okay, yesterday they were seen in the east, very close, well, on the boundary. So generally when they can't come from there, they'll head in this direction. And then we have a look and we're like, okay, look, there's tracks, Isaac, so we're going to follow those tracks. But a lot of it is all just down to tracking. You know, we see footprints crossing the road and then they're heading south, so we're like, oh, okay, cool, there's water over there, let's go have a look at that water hole. And then we go and we look there. So yeah, you look for them. You see tracks, you use your knowledge. This is what we do every day, twice a day. So we get to understand the animals to an extent, you know. Like we know, okay, there's a female leopard here that's got a cub. So yesterday the cub was there, but no mother. So a very good chance the cub's still going to be there in the morning. But while we carry on our search for any animal, it sounds like Trishara, who's lovely come back to us, has found something.
I have found something. It's creepy, it crawls, but I love them. So don't be scared, it's just a golden orb web spider, kids, and it is beautiful, I think. It's got the sunlight kind of hitting it just a little bit, and it looks lovely. Now this is the female. You can see she's very, very large, and the males are tiny, tiny little critters. Look at that. Can you see that she's got little bands on her legs? So we call her a banded golden orb web spider. Now these are quite harmless to humans. Even though they're large, it can be a little bit frightening if you saw it walking towards you or walking on you. Hopefully it doesn't do that. But it's very harmless and she won't do anything to you. Of course, she does have venom in her glands. Ooh, what are you busy doing? Hi, Andy. You'd like to know exactly how venomous it is as we were talking about it. Oh, it looks like she's caught something and she's actually eating it. Oh, I thought you were busy doing something. Andy, they're not very venomous at all. But what I mean by that is that it's not harmful to us. So to humans, it's not harmful. But remember, they have to have some venom in order to catch and kill their prey. So what she will do is a grasshopper or whatever else would get stuck in the web, and then she'll run over and she'll start to spin a web around it. So it gets all tight and it's unable to move. Then she'll bring it back to the center where she'll inject it with venom. And inside that venom, there's also what we call digestive juices. So it's proteins. Those are very important molecules in any animal's body that will help break down the inside of the animal. So it almost becomes like an insect milkshake that she will then put her fangs into, or her chelicerae into, that's where her fangs attach, and then suck up the insides like a straw. And that's actually what she's doing right now. Very, very cool. I quite like spiders. I think that they're lovely. She's very much taking her time with this meal. Hello, Isaac. You're 12 years old from Arizona. You'd like to know if there's any animals we only see in winter. Well, in South Africa, our climate doesn't get very cold, our weather doesn't get very cold, and our climate, so weather is what happens every day, and climate is what happens over long periods of time. So the climate is generally stable, where weather will change every day. So our climate doesn't allow very much for too much cold weather. We don't get very much snow, so animals that are where you would usually only see them in winter if you are in colder parts of the world, or you'd only see them in summer, because we are have a very average temperature and things don't change much, we don't really have that kind of thing. So animals that you'd see in the winter are usually around in the summer, and the animals that you see in the summer that you don't usually see in winter, like our reptiles, they don't even hibernate. They estivate. So that just means that they will lower their metabolic rates. That is, they lower how much energy they use, and then they hide for a little bit. But they don't kind of go to sleep like hibernating animals do. So we have a very nice, even climate. So all animals are generally abound all of the time. Oh, isn't that nice? The sun is coming onto her very nicely now. Very cool. Anyway, where I am is just actually exiting the hyena den. and that is because nobody is around. Now remember when we were walking, when we were driving, and I showed you the leopard tracks. There were a whole lot of hyena tracks as well, and they were moving in the same direction as those leopard tracks. And it seemed as if the entire clan was moving up that way. And I thought, maybe nobody would be here, and I was right. Nobody is around. So that's why we'd have to leave, because the cubs would not be moving. Those are ribbons 2. Well, at least I hope there's still 2. At least I hope there's still cubs. But we wouldn't be able to tell unless there's an adult around, because we can't sit there unless there's an adult around. It's a bit dangerous for the cubs. We might attract something. We don't want that, do we? So I am leaving. Hi, David. You're 5 years old and you have such an amazing question. You're from Perth as well. You would like to know if hyenas are cats or are they dogs? They are neither. They're not cats and they're not dogs. They are most closely related to animals like mongoose and civets. So they're cat-like, but they're not cats. They're not felids, and they're not canids. So they're not cats and not dogs. They're their own special group. That's why I think that they're very, very fascinating. Now I heard something at Treehouse Dam, and I wonder if it were some ellies. Treehouse Dam is just south of the hyena den. So I think let's take a quick drive there before we go out west. Do we have more tracks? No. Hello, Hong Lee. You are 8 years old from Singapore. Hello, it's so nice to meet you. You'd like to know how big is our safari park? It's 1,200 hectares. That's 12 kilometers squared. We call this area Djuma Game Reserve, and it's in a park or in an area called the Sabi Sands. And the Sabi Sands is a collection of small little reserves that are privately owned. The hyenas have been walking all over the place. That's why they're very difficult to track. Because you don't know when those tracks are from, and they're constantly walking on top of each other, walking in groups, walking singularly, over the same areas, walking on the road, off the road, on the road, off the road. So it can be very difficult to track. Apart from that, they're difficult to follow as well. So even if you do track them, you won't be able to follow them. Hello, Sam. You're 12 years old from New Jersey. It's so nice to meet you as well. You'd like to know if our cars can outrun a dangerous animal like a cheetah. No. At least not after being modified to be out in the bush. No. So a cheetah can run at about 100 kilometers per hour for a short period. Now, apart from the fact that this is all theoretical, because cheetah is not really going to chase the car, and we're not really going to drag race with a cheetah or any other animal. And the difference is, in my opinion, agility. And so if you find, say, a leopard, which you can only move between 40 and 50 kilometers per hour, generally they can go up to sprints of about 60, 67 kilometers per hour. They sprint really quickly, but for cars to get that, it's difficult. Anyway, but we're never in a situation where we'd be sprinting, racing against any of the animals. But a very cool question, thank you. Anyway, kids, that is the end of your special session, but please stay with us if you'd like to keep watching and seeing all the animals, and we invite everyone else to start sending in their questions as well. So as the hashtag WildEarth, the YouTube chat stream, or Twitch, and we will happily chat to you all. Now, I saw some fresh elephant dung. I'm hoping that there are some elephants playing in the dam here. I always find that at this time of the day, when it's not very, very hot, it's just starting to warm up, it's still pretty cool, that's when elephants like to play in the water. I don't see any disturbance in the water though. Wow, this is amazing! Sean at andBeyond's Ngala has some wild dogs. Let's go over to him.
Okay, so one of the rangers at the Tenture camp heard baboons alarm calling, went to have a look, found a pack of wild dogs. Not the pack that Rowan had yesterday, the other pack that we see with the floppy-eared male. And it sounds like they have caught an impala over here somewhere. So something they caught it quite recently. Over here, look here on the right, there you can see them. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see this one. Looks like he might still be eating a little bit of something. So if this is the other pack, the floppy-eared one, there are about 12 dogs in this pack. And they could finish an impala, very, very quickly. I can actually see a few more off to the left that look like they're eating. So I think let's go have a look there. There you can see some starting to come back here, but those three are eating over here. Oh, okay, so just be aware, as I said, they are eating. It looks like this one off to our right actually has the head of whatever they're eating. Oh, there he runs away with it. It's probably a good thing for all our viewers. Oh, there's one coming back with looks like a leg. Yeah, you can see he's got the leg of an impala. Oh, yeah, that's the head. That one's got the head. It's tough out here. It is, I mean, there's impalas probably woke up this morning like, yes, guys, we survived the night. And our dogs were like, no, you didn't. Watch this. But I'm going to keep quiet and just listen to the cracking. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but they're still cracking some of these smaller leg bones, maybe some of the smaller outside rib bones. But look at that dog. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but the one there, you can actually see all of the steam rising up from around that dog. Now, I think that's where they killed the impala. And that steam is coming from just the body heat of the impala. But just take a moment.
Coming off this dog.
Yeah, the dog's obviously running around. They're also very hot. There's the one with the head. There's that one running there. But just take a moment to appreciate the setting that we have here with the mist and the sun lighting up the mist, then with dogs and the steam. I'm going to go a little bit forward so myself can see around this bush. Okay, so we've got a question from Michigan, from 8-year-old Hansel. Wanted to know how many types of impalas we get. So we only get this one type of impala. In terms of antelopes, we get a vast number of antelope, but Impala is just this one Impala that we have here. You do get a black Impala, I believe. Sorry, my soul's just wiping the lens. There's a bit of mist and spider webs. But we only got this one Impala. But antelopes, wide variety. Wide variety. But these wild dogs, so this is, as I said, the pack of 12. And now there... Okay, so I'm going to reverse again. These guys just walk around the bush all the time, but listen to those noises. So we've got a question from, I think it was LV Chrissy. Tell me when we're... So do the wild dogs eat faster than the hyenas? LV Chrissy, the wild dogs eat very, very, very quickly. A pack like this, 12 animals, can finish a full-grown male Impala in, not even, I was going to say 8 to 10 minutes. The hyenas, if there's a number of them, if there's 12 hyenas in one Impala, the hyenas will finish it quicker. They just bite, crunch, swallow, bite, crunch, swallow. So if there's the same number of hyenas and wild dogs, hyenas will finish quicker. But generally the wild dogs eat very quickly because they know the hyenas are following. And they know that the hyenas are going to steal their food. But the noises now, there's little whimpering. So, Anche, wild dogs' jaws are not strong enough to chew through the bone, no. Anka. So the question was, are wild dog jaws strong enough to chew through bone? Small bones. There's small little thin bones in the legs, maybe the small little rib bones, like things like that. Yes, those wild dogs can chew through. Especially if it's a young Impala, like an Impala lamb, for sure they can chew through a lot of those bones. But a big Impala with, adult bones, sort of density, things like that. Now look at them playing. No, the wild dogs can't chew through, like those ribs, those bigger leg bones, the skull, things like that, the wild dogs can't chew through. That's all the hyenas area. They're the ones that can chew through, crunch, crack all of the bones. Darcy Ann, no, Darcy Ann, they won't. So Darcy Ann wanted to know, will they hunt immediately again if not all of them ate? No. And what's happened here actually is even an Impala like this will feed all 12 of them. If they were all in the area, like very close, they all would have eaten. So they won't hunt again now. Because also, let's say 10 of them eat, but 2 of them don't. The other 10 now, they're too full to go and run and hunt and stuff again. So they'll rest today. Well, at least for the rest of this day, they will rest. Maybe this evening they might hunt again, depending on how many of them got to eat. But they won't hunt straight away. From the ones that I can see in front of us, most of them looks like they got a good portion of that meat. There's still 2 behind us that have blood on them, so it looks like they got to eat as well. Yeah, I think everyone did get a turn. Everyone did get a turn. What we're gonna do, we're gonna loop around, just see if we can get a bit of a better angle, because there's also some making noise behind us. Now we can get all of the dogs in the picture. We go, and we park here, and look carefully on their necks and such, and you can see And you can see the blood on their necks, the blood on the faces, the one still carrying the leg. Look at those three actually fighting over that leg. So it's so fantastic. I mean, you know, wild dogs are rare, endangered animals. Oh, there's the one with the head. There, look, you can see the head in its mouth. Coming towards us. Looks like it was a younger impala. The head doesn't look too big. It is crazy. Crazy, but so special, as I say, to see them. We're hoping they're going to den here. Look at those two playing in the middle. Wild dogs are amazing. Absolutely incredible. What a way to start our... Yeah, it's Monday. What a way to start the week. You can see a lot of them now have actually stopped eating. There's not enough meat left on the bits that are left. So that skull, not much there. But we're going to spend some time here, just watch, see what happens, see if they get up. They'll probably start settling now anyway that they've eaten. So while we wait here, sounds like Tishala found some elephants.
We have found these elephants. Now this is a very, very calm one up here. It's just a lovely angle because we're actually below it and it's on top of a little mound. But there are about 3 slightly younger guys causing some problems. I'm not going to say anything because I want you to listen and enjoy. Now the reason that I think that these guys are playing around and are not actually alerted by something is that the larger members of the herd are very calm, chomping away behind me. Nothing like watching elephants interact. You can see that tail is straight up. Usually they'll do that when they're stressed, but that doesn't have to mean that there's a predator around. It will happen if they are stressed about a predator. But even if they're annoying each other, that can also be considered stressful. Where are you going now? There's a proper battle going on. Now... They're all around. They've surrounded me, guys. They've surrounded me. Whoa. Very upset. It just tripped. Oh my goodness. Just tripped. It's a battle. Look at that sunlight. So entertaining. These boys are giving us quite a show. Now you find that young mammals, especially males, always the ones that fight quite a bit. And that's because they need to be able to get used to the way that their life is going to unfold, and their life unfolding is going to mean a lot of interaction, a lot of fighting, and a lot of asserting their dominance. And this is how they start doing it from a very, very young age. And now they've all... Oh! There we go again. He came out to show us his face and say, I'm still here. But like I said, I don't think it's anything too alarming, because the one that we had... Oh, you want to come closer? Fine. Yes. So sweet. Now, usually for youngsters like that, well, that was a big bull screaming and running in our direction like that, I may have raised my voice. But for a youngster like that, there's such empty threats. They really are. My favorite bit of this whole thing is the one that was up on this mound that was just not doing anything. It's now on the other side. Oh, there you are. Why? Why? You are very, very frustrated. Whoever's been irritating you is now gone. Well, they seem to have moved mostly, apart from this slightly irritable little Ellie. I think I'm going to tuck down and just turn it around. Can you still? No, I can't see him. This is the quarry near the hyena den. Actually the old hyena den, the one at Shibama Road. And it's a very cool place because you don't often get to go in here. Alright, well, I'm going to send you over to Sean while we find them again, which we have.
Okay, so we're still here with the dogs. They haven't been doing too much, just hanging around here. Some of them still feeding, a couple of them just looking around. They're being very active. They've been very active. You see there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them standing here. But you can see lots of bones. The one on the left of the screen there, just the bone. And you can see not much meat left there at all. But I think what's awesome, so while you guys were going back to Djuma, we were just snapping pictures. And the blood, look at the one on the left there, facing away from us, but standing up. You can see lots of blood on his neck. Looks like he's got a bit of a wound there. Now, it could be maybe when they were hunting, or most likely when they had actually killed the food, the Impala, and they were eating it, got in a little bit of a tussle with one of the other dogs. But it doesn't look serious at all. It's just much darker. On his fur there, you can see the back of his head. Beautiful. That's why we leave so early in the morning now, so that we can witness behaviors like this. Because now you can see perfect light. The sun's come out. The mist is cleared. It's going to be a very hot day today. And we're not going to see activity like this later on in the day. You know, this is all while it's cool, while it's nice and cold, that you can see things like this.
And this one you can properly see the blood.
So Yusuf's wanting to know if wild dogs bark like domestic dogs. And Yusuf, they do not. Earlier, if you were watching Listen, so I don't know if you heard that, but there's like whining. There's little whimpering sounds. And Yusuf, that's what the dogs will do. They don't bark like your domestic dog would bark at a car or a bird or squirrel or something like that. They don't do any barking like that. They will contact call and they will whine. And that's it. Their alarm call is maybe a little bit, you could, if you had a good imagination, say, oh, it's like a bark, but not to the sense that you would know a bark. Not like that. But they're very social. I mean, you can see them all playing around and trying to steal each other's food. So, Corin, that is a very interesting question. How many wild dogs are usually in a pack? Now, as you could see, between yesterday and today, it varies a lot. I mean, yesterday there were 25, 30 something wild dogs in that pack, where this pack only has 12. I've seen a pack that had 4. You got another pack that has 17. You got another one that has 32. So, Corin, it changes a lot. It varies. Very seldomly would you find a pack higher than 30 though. Generally when they hit the 20s and higher 20s, the pack will split up. And I think Rowan was talking about it yesterday again. You know, males will separate, females will separate, then they'll find another group of females, another group of males respectively, and form new packs like that. So generally, because when you're getting over 20 dogs now, you're getting 25, you're getting 30 dogs, you've got to take down much bigger food, you've got to hunt so much more often to feed everybody. So very often those packs will break up into a pack about this size. 10, 12, 15 dogs, because then it's much easier to get food for everybody, it's much easier to keep control of everybody. So they will often, seldomly will you see a pack higher than 17. That's why yesterday was so amazing, because there were so many dogs. It's not a common occurrence. Then you get places sort of further north, Botswana, you get Mana pools where they have packs of 20, 30 there that survive and they do very well. So, Corin, I think it depends a lot on where you're looking, you know, be it South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, Maasai, wherever it is that you're looking, and the availability of food, resources, space, things like that will determine the size of a pack. Yeah, we got average 12 up to about 17 on average. You will always maybe found a small little piece of meat there that all 4 of them are fighting over. But they're starting to spread out now. There's 3 or 4 far off to our right, back near the road. And what they might be doing is just looking for a place to rest. You know, these ones are very lucky. But we've been here for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and there hasn't been a single hyena, which is very, very lucky for them. Because as we were saying earlier, the hyenas will come in and try to steal the food. So they managed to eat this entire impala to themselves, quite leisurely. But now that they're finishing up, they might move away to a new area, because this area here still smells like dead impala, like blood, meat, that sort of thing. So the dogs might just move a small distance, away, so that if hyenas do come, they don't attack the dogs. Doug, I'm not actually 100% sure how many wild dogs are left in the world. I know in South Africa there's about 500, roughly, between sort of 450 and 550 dogs in South Africa. In the world, I'm not sure.
I think it's around 2,500.
Marcel seems to think between 2,500 and 3,000 left in the world. Their numbers are increasing. They are improving. So what we have here is, so Kruger Park, we have, well, in this area rather, there are plus minus 30 different packs. And there are 473 in South Africa, Doug. Free roaming. So in South Africa, yeah, they think between 473 and 541-ish. So, their numbers are improving, Doug. It's tricky, you know. These dogs, they're very hard to follow and keep track of and to count. and they divide, and then they come back and they form new packs. So keeping track of the exact dogs are quite tricky. I'm getting little updates here from FC, our final control, saying that mature adults in the wild, there's now about 1,400. So dug around that figure in the world. So not very many at all. That's why they are so special to see. But as I said, their numbers are going up. Conservation for them is getting better. It is getting better. Just showing people these dogs will give them more protection, more conservation. But you can see some of them are starting to settle down now, so we can spend some more time here, see what happens. In the meantime, we'll send you back to Djuma with James.
Now, there's very little action going on this side of the reserve, but I have to tell you, sitting here in the sun, the mist caught in all the webs, it just feels like the most perfect start to a week. And so it is for us. We're looking at a garden orb web spider. And you can see how I know it's the garden orb web spider from the shape of the abdomen, which is a sort of rhombus, I suppose, a rounded rhombus. I haven't used the word rhombus for some time. And then below the spider you can see the stabilimentum, which is, in theory, supposed to be an indicator to birds and other large creatures that they shouldn't fly into the web, because A, they'll become ensnared and probably inconvenienced more than caught, and secondly, they will destroy the spider's web and it'll have to start again. So that's why that's there. And normally the stabilimentum would be the only bit that we could see of the web. It'd be a spider hanging there on an almost invisible thread with the stabilimentum below. But now, because of the moisture that has descended slowly during the night, the spider's web is an array of silver circles. Oh, some do, Mariki. I don't know what most of them do. I think most of them die, though. So, Mariki, what you'll find is with a lot of creatures, especially the invertebrates, so not the fish, frogs, reptiles, mammals, and birds, so insects and spiders and that sort of thing, what happens is that instead of surviving the winter in a state of hibernation or estivation, we don't need to worry about the difference right now, they survive the winter by being dead. Does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense. But what they do is that instead of living through winter, they lay their eggs at the end of summer, and then the eggs survive through winter, the parents die, and then the babies are born the next summer, and they live for a short season, and then they lay their eggs. So in that way, the species, so the animal as a whole, is able to survive. It doesn't have to get through the winter alive. There are lots of invertebrates that do make it through winter, such as the giant land snail, for example. They do go into a type of hibernation. But a lot of the creepy crawlies just don't survive through the winter, and their species survive the winter as eggs. We've heard a few hyenas, we've heard some ground hornbills, but otherwise everything is quiet, but for the beautiful songs of the birds. Luke, a golden orb web spider doesn't take long to make its web. None of these spiders take very long. A golden orb web spider's web probably takes it, I don't know, a couple of hours maybe. They'll keep maintaining them all the time, but it doesn't take them a very long time. And a bark spider, which will make a web almost the same size as this garden orb web spider, will take 45 minutes to an hour maybe. That's all. So they're really very efficient at making webs. The amount of silk hanging on the grass and in amongst the trees here is just phenomenal. Beautiful, relaxing Monday morning here in the northeastern parts of the South African lowveld. All right, Owen, shall we press along? We're on the eastern boundary of Djuma now. We're just seeing if we can't find any tracks, maybe of Tundi the leopardess, 13 years old, with 2 cubs, coming back here. And in case you missed yesterday's update, Tundi had her 2 cubs on Djuma, that's to the left of the vehicle, and she moved them into Torchwood, which is to the right of the vehicle, where we can't go, yesterday, well, no, in fact, 2 nights ago. And they picked them up on a trail camera that somebody had set up. And so we know that both cubs and Tundi are safe. They're not far from the boundary here, only about maybe 300 meters. So she could easily come back and hunt this side, mark her territory this side. She has a kill, she might bring the cubs to it. So it's always good to just do a little patrol up this boundary and see if anything's changed during the course of the night. Let us now go back to Trishala, who is having a wonderful morning with some elephants.
I am having a wonderful morning with some elephants. This lovely lady has decided to grace us with her presence closer, which is always really nice. She is very calm, collected, unlike some other members in the herd at the moment. I wish I could... Do you think we can show it, Darby? Okay. There's a clown amongst the herd. Just excuse our aerial because he's right behind us. It is a little obscured, but he's just relaxing down there. I don't want to move straight away. I will when I get a chance, but this female that's in front of me is a bit close and I don't want to scare her. Kicking, yes, and this was the same one that was rubbing its butt against the bank, and there was also a smaller calf that was trying to climb a marula tree, which I haven't seen before. So plenty of entertainers in this herd. Okay, let's try. Oh, look at that. Doug, you'd like to know, when do young elephants' tusks start to show? Well, actually, they have little tusks that you don't see that are called tushes that grow underneath where tusks come out of. And then they have, it gets reabsorbed by the time they're about 1 year old. And that actually creates the direction that's needed for the actual tusks to grow. And then they'll start growing after that, around 1. And then by about 2, they start to poke out just a little bit. Oh, well done. You've made it up. I now have half an ellie in front of me. Ta-da. Half an elephant. Have you ever seen half an elephant before? Well, I'm here to show you all of the things. They're really, really enjoying themselves because there's pretty much everything they like around here. There's grass that's really wet. There is a sandpaper raisin bush, which is something that elephants love. That's what the ones that we're eating up on the termite mound have. And then there's a marula tree in the back that is being stripped as well. So a lot going on. Now, I think this girl might allow me to move if I maybe just roll. But I hope I don't. I don't know if I have much space to roll. Come on, Wendy. Come on. Okay, so we can't reverse too much. Sorry. Was it Alki? Alki, you'd like to know if I get nervous in situations like this? Or the one earlier? Anki? There we go. Hello, girl. You are gorgeous. I mean, you get a little bit nervous, but it's never... you can kind of tell the difference between a situation that's potentially or is dangerous, because all situations are potentially dangerous, and one that's not. Yay, oh, yes, your butt's still here. Okay, I'll wait for you to move. You do get a little bit nervous. Do you remember that time that I had those massive bulls that were running along the road towards me? Then I did get nervous. But that's when you see a lot of action is taken. Alright.
Thanks, Trish. You can link over to Sean with Wild Dogs.
They are all spread out now. And I'm going to send you over to Sean with those wild dogs. Hope you'll get another view of these guys a little later.
Okay, so we still got them. They've moved a little bit. So now they moved from where we saw them all eating. Now they've crossed the road and just headed more to the sun. As I was saying earlier, they moved away from where they were eating. So now they moved away from that smell, that blood, everything like that. Now I think they're just trying to get a little bit of distance there in case another predator does come. You know, something like a lion that we heard roaring. Because as I said, we're very close to the tented camp. That's where we heard the lion this morning. So he could be here somewhere. So they're just moving away from that, from the hyenas that might come. I'm still surprised we haven't seen any hyenas. I thought we would have seen one or two. Because the wild dogs, they've been making a noise. They've been calling, they've been crunching. It's the smell that even I can smell. So I'm surprised no hyenas have come. But andBeyond Ngala is a big area. It just might not be close by. Now it's very good that they're settling here. Now we are quite close to our boundary, but it looks like they came from that side and they're moving into Ngala, which is good. The only problem is the little road that runs right here, where me and Rowan run. So it looks like today we're taking an off day. No exercise today. Or it's just going to be very fast exercise. I mean, the camouflage. Okay, so we've got a question from, I think it's Sir 50, wanting to know, do the alpha pair of the pack eat first? No. No, they don't. So when this food is caught, everyone just eats. It's just pretty much a free-for-all. If there were small puppies here that were eating meat, everyone would just eat. You just go for it. Everyone does what they can, eats what they can when they can. There's no... That's not like, okay, we're going to wait for you two, and then it's the next, and the next, and the next. No, everyone just eats. And that's why it helps to be a slightly smaller pack. You know, you catch an Impala, and the 12 of you can pretty much all eat at the same time. Because someone will come in, they'll grab a chunk of meat, walk away with it, eat it, come back, grab a chunk of meat. So everyone generally does get a turn. Wild dogs are quite good about that. They're not like the lions. They just go crazy and fight and defend and sometimes badly injure each other when there's food involved. The wild dogs, they don't necessarily take turns, but everyone will get a turn to eat. Ah, there's a hyena. So we've got the first hyena of the morning coming up here behind us. Quite a big one. Look at that dog in the screen there. You can see where the dog's looking. Straight at the hyena. He's standing up now, getting a better view. Just seeing what this hyena is going to do. Hyena doesn't seem to be doing much. I don't know if he's seen the wild... Oh, there he goes. He's now seen the wild dogs. He's going to come into the screen just over here, I think. He's gone around the bush. Now, he might come close to investigate, see if any of these dogs have a bit of food left with them. Maybe a bone. I'm going to see if we can move the car a little bit. Get a view of this hyena. Ah, he's going down there. He got scared. So you can see where all the dogs are going. Now the hyena's off to our left. He's actually running away there. The dog's chasing after him. the hyena around. Most likely the hyena came through here, smelt, didn't see anything big, couldn't smell too much food, so he knows there's not too much reason to fight. Also, the hyena is by itself, where we do have, as we said, the 12 dogs here, so it's not really a fair fight for him. But I would imagine if he sees there's one dog just off to the right there that's still crunching a bit of leg, possibly if the hyena saw that, he might go and have a look. But for now, everything out here, it's effort versus reward. That hyena's weighing up the options. If I go in there and I get one bone, is it worth the potential of these 12 dogs attacking me? Is the effort worth the reward? But right now, it is not. Okay, Mola Man. So I've never really looked at the dog of the tongue of a wild dog. So Mola Man wants to know if the wild dogs have an abrasive tongue similar to cats. Mola Man, my answer first would be no. I'm sure their tongues are a lot more abrasive than sort of our human tongues, but they are not as abrasive as cats. No. You know, cats will spend a lot of time licking the skin, trying to remove the skin from the meat. We saw it with the leopard in the tree the other day. You know, the leopard would lick the skin away, try and peel it off the meat to eat the meat. Where the wild dogs, they just bite, rip, tear, swallow. Now, they will avoid the skin, so they will rip it open and go for the meat. But they don't, I haven't seen wild dogs lick their food. They eat it a lot quicker. You know, predators, well, the cats rather, the leopards, the lions, they have the time to sit there and lick and get that food off. So they have their abrasive tongues to suit that style. Where the wild dogs, they don't have that that time to sit there and lick their food and wait and get to a good spot of meat. They just rip it open. So I would say no, Mola Man. The tongues are not as abrasive. So there's a second hyena. I can't see him clearly. I just see a bit of movement through the bush. We definitely have two hyenas in the area now. But you can see quite subdued. Everything's settling down. Food's gone. Sun's out. So Sudi, the white tip of the tail, its purpose is it's a follow me sign. So when they're running through the long grass, through the bushes, if they have little puppies with them, that white stands out. So the other dogs behind can see, okay, look, there's where the dog's going, or that's where the leader's going, or for the puppies, you know, that's where my mom's going. So it's a follow me signal, the white tip on the tail. If you look at their heads, you look from the front of the bodies, you don't see that color. You don't see that white. So anything in front of them doesn't see it. So it doesn't give them away when they're hunting, when they're running. That's how we know it's a follow me sign, because it's at the back where dogs that are following would see. Same for the lions, they got the black tip, same for the leopards. It's all just follow me signs. So it looks like 3 or 4 of these, 5, 6 of these dogs are now just running after the hyenas. So if you look straight in front of us, you can see the hyena in the bush there. And there you can see the dogs coming. But listen. So what that hyena did, it actually ran that bush that it's in there. It's a thorn tree. And not a very nice thorn tree either. So the hyena's gone in there for a little bit of cover, a little bit of protection. You see how the dog's not going all the way into the tree. You might find the hyena went in and then sat down so that the wild dogs can't bite the back. That's where the wild dogs generally go for all predators. You just stop there to listen. But there's not too many noises. that hyena has instinctually hidden himself very well. The dogs can't get at him. He probably sat down, back away from them, face at the dog so he can defend himself. That's why the dog's there, coming out of the bush now, that hyena, just looking. Imagine the animals just know, like instinctually, they're very aware of their position, their place. And the hyena knows, okay, I can't fight all of these dogs. Let me get into a place like this. They won't attack me too much because they also know there's no food. But he can smell the blood, that's why he's here. That's why he's watching. Erica, I would say no. So Erica wants to know, are these wild dogs related in any way to the Australian dingo?
No, so the Australian dingo is much closer related to your domestic dog.
So Marcel is saying that he knows that dingoes are more closely related to your domestic dog.
Domestic dogs and wolves.
And wolves.
Wild dogs are in the genus Lycion.
So wild dogs are in a different genus.
And the dingo and domestic dogs and wolves are in the genus Canis.
Well, the dingo and the domestic dog are in a different genus, called the Canis genus. So they both come from different genealogy. So, Erica, no, they are not related. If you go way back, like way back in history, Erica, you would find some connection between all of them, but in the most recent history or genealogy of these animals, no, they would not be related. So that hyena, he just lay down, as you saw, catching some shade there, just relaxing, because it is starting to get very hot now. I've taken off my blanket, my legs are getting quite warm, and now everyone's just going to be lying down, resting, digesting, processing their morning. But Erica, in that sense, I've never seen a dingo before. Hello, Maureen. So Maureen, living in Canada, Maureen's 83, and she wants to know why they are called painted wolves. So Maureen, if you just look at them, you know, these three that are standing, Maureen, if you look at them, you can see the difference in their coat, in their patterns. That one now is very dark, some of them are very light, and sort of that brown color, some are more black. The ones yesterday, some of them were more pale, more white in color. And I think, Maureen, it's just referring to the difference in their coats. They all look like they're painted different colors, different combinations. No dog looks the same. You know, you look at something like lions, you look at leopards. Yeah, their spots different, but they all look very, 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 very similar. But the wild dogs all look very different. They're just painted by different artists, and they all got different combinations of colors, different variations. And that's what I would imagine they refer to. Marcel's got a different opinion.
I'd say, to me, it looks like a Rorschach ink blot test.
So Marcel thinks it looks like a raw pot?
A Rorschach ink blot test.
So like an ink blot test. What Marcel's opinion is. But they just, and also, Maureen, they just look like, you know, masterpieces. Beautiful, beautiful animals. Yes. And we were extremely lucky with the activity we saw. Issa from Brazil, hello Issa, wants to know if each member of the pack has a specific function that he or she does. Issa, not really, no. So the wild dogs, they are hierarchical. There's the alpha pair, the male and the female, that sort of lead the pack, and they will be the ones that mate. Sometimes the next pair up will mate as well, but it's generally just the alpha pair. And once that happens, then every member of the pack will look after the sort of puppies. So every member hunts, every member will take babysitting duty, every member will regurgitate for them, every member does everything. So there's no specific roles. It's not like, okay, you two are the hunters today, and you two are the scouts today. It's not like that. Everyone plays their role. It's a very harmonious pack lifestyle. If a hyena comes, all of them will fight the hyena. If, they're hunting, all of them will hunt. So it's a very, as I said, a very group thing. There's no specific roles for people. Except only the alpha female will look after, will sort of suckle her puppies. Just going to see if we can move a bit here. You can see they've all gone around this little bush. So we're not going to get too close. We're going to stop here first. And have a look at the rest of them. And have just moved off a little bit. I don't know if you can see Rowan over there. So Rowan was the one that heard them at the camp, came out here and managed to find them for us. So very nice. But while we are sitting here, these dogs, it looks like they're all going to go lie down. We spent a little bit more time here, but in the meantime, James has also found an animal.
This particular animal, I'm afraid, has run away, as is the general form of the morning. We will try and get a picture of this particular animal. You'll be so amazed when you see what animal it is. I'm sure you can hear from the sound of excitement in my voice. Oh, what do you think, Owen? Have you got one? Oh, a few of them, no less. Look at that. The Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park's most common antelope, the Impala. And let us just take a moment to consider the demise of one of their number at the teeth and hunting prowess of the wild dogs of Ngala this morning. I don't think that these chaps know about it. Not entirely sure that they'd be concerned if they did, but there it is. And they look pretty skitty, and they often look pretty skitty at this time of the year. And that's because the males are harassing them, so they live in a state of harassment for about 2 months. You still see the moan?
Yeah.
MJG, we don't have a lot of statistics on the poaching here at the moment and whether or not the shutdowns had an effect on it. I was asked this question before and I said I didn't think it would have much effect, and then I was sent an article by the New York Times which quoted various South Africans as saying the lack of tourists and therefore the lack of activity on various, especially private game reserves, is really causing a problem. And so there does seem to be an uptick in some areas, especially for subsistence poaching. I'm not sure about big stuff like rhino and elephant. The Kruger anti-poaching teams and the Sabi Sand anti-poaching teams and the Timavati anti-poaching teams are still out in force. So there's no reduction in the amount of policing that's going on. But I think some of the private reserves, which don't have as big a access or as larger access to anti-poaching units, are probably suffering more because of the lack of activity, lack of movement around their reserves, which just makes it easier for poachers to move around. So I haven't seen any statistics. I have heard anecdotal reports that in some areas it's definitely got worse. I don't think you'll find that a place like the Sabi Sands and most of the park will struggle. Because, I mean, even with a lack of tourists in the Kruger, you know, vast swathes of that area have no tourist access. So it's not like tourists and their activity can actually play a role in anti-poaching in vast swathes of the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park or the Kruger. Good, well, we shall move on from these chaps, or chapesses, and we'll go and see if we can find something else while you go back up to Sean and his pack of Lycaon pictus.
We're still there, so it's quite interesting. We got like half of the pack doing stuff in terms of walking around and fighting each other, smelling and playing, and then we got the rest of them that are just in a food coma, lying down and doing absolutely nothing. So I don't know, maybe it's the younger ones, or some of them ate more than others. But, oh, there we go, you see those ones running around, playing in the background. Those are the active ones. But it's starting to get very warm. So Doug, I was actually having this discussion the other day. So wild dogs, we believe to be able to, when they're sort of hunting, when they're running, at a sprint, they could probably clock maybe 70, between 65 and 75. I'd say we're going to go a little bit forward, Doug. But yes, so they can go, when they're hunting, when they're sprinting after an Impala, something like that, between 65 and 75. And then they can keep that speed for quite a long time, actually. But that is, as I said, that's their sprinting speed, Doug. So when these dogs are traveling, when they're covering ground, they would trot at
25
between 25 and 35, I would say. And they can keep that speed for hours and hours, the whole day. When they're trying to get somewhere, they're trying to cover ground, 25, 35 kilometers, they can go for a day, probably a day and a half at that sort of speed. These are endurance animals. Look at their body structure. Very skinny legs, skinny bodies, very lean, very big chests. Like if you look at them, they are full now, so their stomachs are bulging a little bit. But look at that one in the screen there in the middle. Big chest. Big in the front, big lung capacity. These dogs, they can cover distance. They marathon animals. So running is obviously natural to them. You know, very different to something like a lion. It's very big and bulky and muscular and weighs a lot. You know, they can't keep a high pace for any length of time. And these ones are perfectly designed for what they do, how they do it, their lifestyle. Erica, to an extent, yes. So we're talking about the tails of these wild dogs, and if the tails are used to express certain moods. So Erica, yes, not, I would say, as keenly as your domestic dog. Not as, or situational as your domestic dog, but in specific situations, wild dogs will use their tails to express feelings and behaviors. So like, when they're threatened, their tails will go down. When there's a hyena, they tuck their tails in. When they're scared, they sort of tuck their tails in. When they're playing now, you can see the tails moving. They're not wagging like your dog in excitement, like your domestic dog. You know, there's not that sort of tail wagging indication like that. But when they're stressed, yes, their tails will do certain things, and it's a sign that we would look at and be like, oh, look at them, they're doing this, or that's what that means. Or you can say, oh, the hyena's coming, you know, look how it tucked its tail in to protect its back, like those two there fighting. You'll see when they fight and they go for the back of each other, they sort of tuck their tail down a bit, drop their backsides. Now when they're running, when they're playing there, you see the tail's more sort of straight out. Most likely, I don't know for a fact, but I'd say most likely helping with sort of the running and the turning and the balance and the agility when they're playing. Incredible. What a morning. As I said, we're going to spend some more time here, just see where these dogs settle down, see where they go, what they do. And while we just sitting here watching, Trish has found some mongoose.
I have found some mongoose now. I love them very much. These are dwarf mongoose. And they are just thoroughly entertaining to watch. I don't think they'll be as entertaining as our elephants were earlier. But still, they are just adorable. Like, can you see that they're all chilling out on this termite mound? And they're chilling on the east side of it. That's because that's the side that'll be receiving all of the sunlight this morning. And they need to get nice and warm. They do enjoy a bit of heat. Oh, stretch it out, stretch it out. Some morning yoga. Very cool. Now everybody in this little group is quite large, I must say. I don't see any little ones. Very mature group. Hello, cutie. A typical start to the morning, that is first to grab some sun, get nice and warm, groom a little bit, interact with everyone. And then, of course, go out and find something to eat. There's some grooming. A lot of you are saying they're cute and lovely. They certainly are. That little one's showing you exactly why. Look at that. So sweet. Sometimes I just like to watch them. You know, there's not a story to tell you about them, but just that they're so interesting to watch. Doug, you'd like to know how deep their burrow is. Well, they use disused termite mounds. In fact, they're not always disused, like the termite mound that they're on at the moment. There are a couple vents that have been closed off. So termite mound will have some active areas and some areas that are no longer in use. And that's where these guys will take advantage of the already built tunnels that are within it. And the actual mound goes quite deep underground. Imagine it like an iceberg, where you have the tip of it only really showing up on the surface, and then below there's a whole lot more structurally and architecturally going on. But the mongoose don't usually use the parts too much at the bottom or under the ground. They might use those tunnels to move from one mound to another, and they can do that. I've seen that before, where they'll pop out on the ground somewhere else and then travel back down that hole and come back to the mound. And what they will do is they have a territory of about 1 kilometer squared or so, and within that territory they move between the mounds. So they don't need to actually dig tunnels or have tunnels that are very, very deep. I would say deep in terms of going underground, not very much at all. Within the actual mound, tunnels going from one side to the other could be about 2 meters, but not very deep. Remember, once you get deep underneath these mounds, it gets very hot, very humid. So they don't always go there. Kylie, you'd like to know if mongoose and meerkats are related? They are. In fact, when you think about mongoose, the closest thing that you would associate it with is, of course, a meerkat. Awesome, the little things. They're so curious, which is what I love about them. And always are so active, and we know that a group of mongoose is called a business, and you can see why. Oh, very itchy today. Their movements are so sharp. I think they'd be great dancers. Yes. I'm going to grab that question again from you, Natalie, if you don't mind, please. Kay Williamson, there you go. You'd like to know if they have any guards that watch out for alien attacks, for aerial attacks, and they do, but they are a bit more creative about it. So they'll often forage with other species. So they tend to forage with hornbills, with starlings, and even with squirrels. And when they're all together, it means that they have eyes all over the place. So a hornbill will be able to alert them to any aerial predators, so would a squirrel, and so would any guards that they post themselves. Drongos also associate with them, but they can be a little bit sneaky. Obviously, birds have different calls to indicate what it is that they're seeing. It's very subtle, and so do squirrels. Something that says, "Oh no, look, it's a falcon," or "Oh no, look, it's a snake." Oh, gonna have a morning argument. Yes. So those are differences in calls that these animals are able to detect. And what drongos often do is they alarm for a predatory bird, when in fact they just want to take whatever food the mongoose has already collected, because they will tend to drop whatever they're doing and then hurry back to their burrow, and then the drongo comes down and takes the reward from them. Yes, they do, don't they? You're not happy about that. Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to say alien watchdogs. I'm sure your eyesight is not that good, Mongoose. Even though apparently Marcel thinks that they will be our saviors. In his head when the aliens come, apparently. I can count on Marcel to say something like that. Hi, Vet. You'd like to know, what do they eat? Are they omnivores? They are the smallest carnivores that we have. And yes, they are carnivorous. They like a whole lot of insects. In fact, any invertebrate, and even some things that are not so pleasant to you and I. Scorpions, spiders, even reptiles, snakes, lizards. They just love a bit of flesh. And obviously some crispy stuff, because invertebrates have that really nice, crunchy outer shell. I wouldn't know myself. I've only ever eaten a mealworm. Anyway, these are lovely guys. I'm going to leave them to keep on sunning, and I'll send you back over to James with a spider.
Here we have our second spider of the day. And this particular spider we did for you yesterday morning as well, not the same one. It is a bark spider. What is interesting about this particular bark spider is that it is supping upon something, and I can't tell what it is. And what it looks like to me is that it's not in fact an insect. It may be a bit of insect, but the bark spiders do wrap their webs up and then eat them at around about this time of the day, and I wonder if that isn't a bit of the web that's got a bit mucky and she's wrapped it up and she's maybe eating what she can of it. Now she's moving it around a bit, almost as much as the wind is moving it around. Gosh, it's going to make me feel seasick watching it, but not nearly as seasick as her. She's about the size of a golf ball. So 50, as far as I'm aware, the male bark spider will not be on the web. He will be at the end of one of the support strands, waiting for his wife to come home. And sometimes if you follow the support strands to the trees, you can find the males, but they're about a tenth her size. You got one? Which side? What, of the web? He shouldn't be there. There might be a couple of parasites there, but the male, in theory, shouldn't be on that web. But there is another spider there. I see him. You're correct. Yeah. I don't know if he makes his own web. I don't think he does. I think he somehow either feeds off her or comes onto the web and eats sometimes there. I don't know. I don't remember. Sorry about that. Now, I've mentioned my young friend Graham Charles, who lives in Johannesburg before, and he loves spiders, and so we'll dedicate this little sighting to my young friend Graham Charles and his friend Ashley. They're watching today, this morning. Beautiful colours of the water caught in the gossamer web. I doubt the moth that is now shaking like a leaf on the left-hand side of the web thinks the same of it as I do. Bernally, I think that I suspect sometimes the female bark spider eats the male, but I don't think it's something she does all the time or by default. So I'm sure it happens from time to time, but I don't know that it's as common as it is in other spider species. It's a good question. As I look at this spider, I realize that I must go back and do a bit more reading on them. It's a long time since I read about bark spiders. I don't think I've ever seen so many of these big ones. Ooh. You may have just heard that flying overhead, but there were 2 Retz's helmet shrikes that flew over. An unusual species of helmet shrike. Right, Owen. Let us move along. Sean, all the way at Ngala, remains with his magnificent pack of hounds. Let's go to them.
So we are still here with them dogs, but they are all now sort of starting to lie down, find some shade. They almost disappeared in like 2 minutes. They all just sort of lay down on the grass. I looked down, looked back up, and I could just see 2 of them. So they're all here. We managed to find all of them, but they're just lying, camouflaging in the grass. It's pretty impressive. After we look at this one, I'll ask Marcel before we leave to just sweep across the plains here, and you'll be surprised how hard they actually are to see. So you can see there, there's actually about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dogs that were in your screen then, but you just can't see them. Watch this one. See, when it lies down, if it goes towards slightly long grass, it disappears. There you can see the ears of one. Oh, there's one. It's a good one. They can camouflage, I guess, in the green grass, in the brown grass. I'm going to turn the car a bit just so we're not looking at that spotlight. There we go. So the amount of dogs that are actually right there in your screen now. You can see the one walking, then there's 2 on the right hand side of the screen, and there's about 4 where that dog is standing. There you can start making them out there. So Audrey, that is exactly it. So Audrey's talking about the ears. She wants to know if the large ears help them hear better. And Audrey, very much so. Very, very much so. So what I always say to people, Audrey, look at something like these wild dogs. Look at the hyena that we saw earlier. Look at their ears. Both of them, wild dogs and hyenas, have large ears. They have the big ears that stick out a lot, and they can hear things. So the wild dogs, they have the big ears, Audrey, so that they can hear the impalas, or if there's a big pack, whatever food they're hunting, hear it from quite a distance, and then they can just run in and chase it. And they can hear where it's growing, where it's crossing through the bush while they're chasing it. Something like a hyena, also Audrey, has very big ears, so that it can hear things being killed, or animals eating, crunching bone. They can hear alarm calling, and they can go and investigate. Where, if you look at something like a lion, Audrey, or a leopard, they got small ears. Even a cheetah, they have small little ears, like teddy bear ears. And that's because they stalk their food. So they got these big ears like the wild dogs. It's going to stick out of the grass, and it's going to make them it'll be a lot harder for them to stalk. So the lions and the leopards got the smaller ears so that they can hide. They don't rely on their hearing as much. It's more smell and sight. And it's an indication of the different hunting strategies. So wild dogs, big ears. So exactly like you said, they can hear their food, run it down, catch it. And the hyenas hear the crunching, they hear the killing, so they can run there, they can investigate, they can have food. Where lions and leopards, although they do scavenge, they spend the majority of their food, they hunt down themselves. So they have the small ears, don't rely as much on hearing. It's quite incredible how all the different animals, depending on their lifestyle, their food sources, their strategies, have all of these different adaptations. Bigger ears, smaller ears, different camouflages, different patterns, everything's different depending on how they live. And nature will always teach you something. Very efficient. So 7-year-old Julia, no. Male and female wild dogs are not different colors. They're all the same combination of colors, be it this black, this brown, and this white. So they're all those combinations, but it's not specific to a gender. It's not like all the females are darker and all the males are lighter. All the dogs are just different. Be it old, young, male, female, whatever they would like to be. It's 2020. They can be what they want. But you can also see these animals starting to lie down now. Well, they're all lying down. It's getting very hot. I'm surprised those ones still in the sun. They'll most likely move off to the shade soon. and they have given us quite a show this morning. To be able to see them finishing off that Impala, that little bit of interaction with the hyena, just them playing around, running, chasing, fighting each other. It has been just an incredible start to our Monday. But I think what we're going to do is actually just let them rest, let them lie down, let them have their peace, and we will carry on, see if we can find any other animals for the rest of the morning. You don't want to push out like we've actually been. I was talking to myself earlier, incredibly lucky with the wild dogs that we have seen. You know, if you think about it, we were discussing the wild dog numbers earlier, and if there is something like 500 and I think we said 70 or 71 in South Africa, and between yesterday afternoon and this morning you've now seen close on like almost 50 out of the 500. So yeah, that's almost 10% of the wild dog population in South Africa. And I was just thinking, Djuma the other day, they also had a pack there. Can't remember how many there were, but the wild dogs have been providing for us. Thank you, guys. What we're going to do, we're going to leave them, we're going to carry on heading down. Looks like, oh, look at that. Look at that. So off to the right there is a baby Impala by itself. So it could be there was a herd here. The wild dogs came in and they caught the mother. So watching the road in front of us, I think it's going to run. There it goes, ooh, across the road. Ah, now look, there's a hyena that has seen the young Impala run across the road. Now hyenas, oh, there he's chasing it. So the hyena went after it. I didn't see where he went though. We're just going to turn off and listen. So that is exactly what we are saying in terms of opportunistic situations. That is a young Impala. It is still a lamb, probably not even a year old, by itself, probably scared. His mother potentially just died. It's panicking. It ran. Hyena was like, for sure, this is a fantastic opportunity. And he chased. He went into that thicket that Marcel was just focused on. I didn't see him come out, but I also couldn't see too clearly. There's a bit of a ridge here, but I don't see anything. Now luckily that hyena might not be too invested in actually chasing down that baby Impala. Not a lot of meat there. So if that Impala did decide to just run away, most likely that hyena thought, oh, it's too far, it's too much energy now to chase it down. So he just stopped in the bush. You know, he thought this could be an easy option. You know, the baby maybe go and hide, is scared of the wild dog, so he goes and hides in a thicket. Hyena could sneak up and catch it. That would have been his thought process. But I think that little one, luckily, got away, which is good. But it was awesome to see that, how, you know, we're talking most of the time about the predators and how they hunt, when they hunt, opportunistically, that sort of thing. And that's exactly what happened. The little baby ran, hyena saw it, thought, let's try. And that's how nature works. So it's going to be a tough couple of days for that little baby, that Impala. Now lost its mother. You didn't see any other Impalas there. I don't know where the rest of the herd has gone. They probably all just ran. So now that one's going to be vulnerable. It's probably going to be looking for its mother, probably even calling. And that would just attract predators. And an Impala that size must worry about everything. Wild dogs, hyenas, lions, leopards, maybe even some of the bigger eagles that we get, some of the snakes that we get. A python happily take down that little Impala. So it's going to have a very stressful couple of days ahead of it. But it's very close to the camp, so, you know, if I do see it and that sort of thing, I'll keep you updated if I can. So Kayleen, it's Jumine and a line as a sort of one behind the other. So Kayleen wants to know if when the wild dogs move, do they always move in a line? So when they're just sort of walking down the road, then yeah, pretty much they will walk because they all want to walk in the road. It's much easier for them to travel here than it is to travel on the sides of the road. And then they'll stick to the side, so essentially they will form a line out of, default. When they're walking through the bushes, through the shrubs, I guess, they're generally hunting. So then they will spread out and walk sort of next to each other, cover more ground, more scent. They can all see and chase in different directions. So I would say no, they don't always travel in a line, Kayleen. They travel in a line on the road, one behind the other, but otherwise they will spread out and go different ways, and some of them will play and then come back and then run and then come back. So no, they don't always go in a line. But it is quite awesome when they do all go in a line and you see, be it those 12 or 17, however many there are, all just trotting down the road. It's very cool. Makes for some beautiful pictures. It depends a lot, all these animals' behaviors, their tendencies will depend on the situation. It's all very situational. Instinctually they know, okay, this will be the best approach for this situation. Be it all behind each other, or maybe it's better if we spread out now. So it just depends where they're moving, why they're moving, how they're moving. Seems to be a few more impalas down the road. Some adults looking quite relaxed. So what we're going to do, we're going to carry on, as I said, see what we can find, see what animals we come across, any fresh signs or tracks. In the meantime, we're going to send you across to Trishala, see what she's up to.
I am searching, guys, and you are searching with me. We are being nosy neighbors, and we are peering into Chitwa. And that is because we heard reports that there are some dogs on Chitwa. In fact, they were on the dam wall last we heard. So we're trying to get a view of the dam wall from afar. It's not working for us just yet, but we're going to keep on trying. Now, my plan is to hang out on Gari Main, which is our southern boundary here, the boundary with Chitwa. So I've got Chitwa off to my south here and Torchwood off to my north. And I'm hoping that they are going to run out into the road at some point, for which it will be a very brief sighting because we cannot go into either at the moment. That's why it's important to hang out on the road, right? Dogs I always find are quite nice to spot because the white golden, that's cool. Because they
Oopsie, sorry about that technical glitch. So I'm not sure what Trishala told you, but it seems that also come because at the moment.
Okay, so we had some reports from our tracking teams. One of them has found tracks of lion. Most likely, because of where it is, I would say it is the one that we heard calling this morning. It's just tracks of one, fairly large, and heading from our right down across the front of us. Seems like they're having a little bit of bad signal at Djuma. That's why you're back with me, stuck with me for a while. So we're going to head into some clearings. Now, I was talking earlier to, I can't remember his name, but we were discussing why we check certain areas. So where we're going now, nice big open area, quite often the Birmingham Pride, especially the Ross males, they will come through into an area like this, especially at night, because this is where a lot of wildebeest, zebra and impalas, this is where they all sleep. So it's a great place. So then there's also a few little pans, little water holes where they can get a drink, and then there's enough bushes and stuff for shade. Some protection from the weather. But now it's important. Look at those impalas off to our right. So we're going to go, and we're going to stop here. So look at those impalas. Okay, they're all running now. But you see that one was looking to the right. So when we arrived here, 4 of them, 3 of them were looking to the right. The one was looking the other way. And now they've all ran to the left. So as I said, this is where the tracks of the lions are coming. So potentially they've seen something further down that they were a bit nervous about. You see how when they ran, they didn't run that way, which is into some thickets over there. They ran back across this way. So maybe something on that side was scaring them, and that's why they didn't want to head that way. But it could be something even like another male impala that was making a noise, and they were just looking, watching, seeing what he's doing, and thought to themselves, I don't want to deal with that male's admin. So they turned around and headed here. But we're going to investigate nonetheless. You never know what you might find. I think I might have seen a wildebeest in there as well, which, although, you know, they're not enemies, sometimes I have seen wildebeest chase after impalas. But that's the problem, you know. In the last 2 weeks, we have looked. That does just seem to be a herd of wildebeest up the road in front of us. But what I was saying is, you know, the animals have been a bit weird recently. I followed up on a number of groupings of vultures. So we saw, the other day we saw maybe about 20-25 vultures on 2 different trees, just, you know, standing there. And it was a warm day, hot weather. They could have been flying. It wasn't late, anything like that. It was the middle of the day. And so we went off to investigate. We're like, cool, something's happening here. You know, let's get on that. And then there was nothing. The vultures just seemed to be relaxing in a tree. And it's happened twice now with the vultures. And it's happened once with hyenas. Remember, when is it? 3 days ago, we saw those 4 hyenas. So the animals are being a bit weird. But it's always good just to have a look, just to follow up and see. You never know. I remember once I was driving with my guest and my tracker Ernie, and we were looking for the lions, and we saw about 7 giraffe in the distance, just all of them just staring in one direction, and then they would move and then stare and move and stare into the same place every time. So now we thought that's a little bit weird, you know, because we drove past, they didn't look at us, which they generally do. They'll look at you just to see what you're doing, but they didn't. So we were like, okay, something's fishy here. Let's go off and have a look. And before you know it, we drive off the road. There the lions are. The giraffes were just staring at them. So it's always important, if you see animals doing unusual behavior, be it giraffes staring or those impalas, you know, most of them looking there, they're not running away from you, but running almost towards the car, generally means there's something more scary on the other side. And that's why we look. What is that? Might have seen. No. I found some grass. Different colored grass. It tricked my eyes. It would be special if it was a cheetah. It's the only animal between us and Djuma we are missing is the cheetah. So we're waiting. Every report that we get, so we obviously got friends in all the surrounding areas. So every report we follow up and we're like, cheetah, but we're never successful. But it seems like Djuma is now back up and running, so what we're going to do is send you across to Trishala, see what she has been up to.
I've been up to much of the same. Just perusing the southern boundary. With beady eyes ready to spot dogs that are running out at any moment. What's nice about a cut line or a boundary line is it's usually straight, which means that you can see for quite a while. So that's always helpful. And when I come onto the southern boundary, there's just the potential for so much. Kuchava, cub, Maybe Thandi and her cubs. She's in Torchwood. The dogs. Sui. I haven't seen her in forever. That's why I like the south. I think we may be out of luck. Either way, I'm always happy to check. Can't check if you don't check, you can't find. See, no tracks at all either. So we're heading back west. We were heading east on this road called Gari Main. Southern boundary, as I said. Let's find. There was a small gap that allowed us to see the dam wall, just a little part of it, but we're going to have to find it again. So I'm going to drive really slowly. See if we'll get lucky. I think it was past this mound. No. Natalie, I'm going to grab that from you again. Ah, Ansel, age 8 in Michigan. You have a very, very important question. You'd like to know, what do we do when we need to use the bathroom? Oh, there's a slight gap there. Well, to tell you the truth, we have to do as the animals do and use the natural facilities. That's actually not that bad. That's quite freeing, I think. A little bit more difficult for us females. But, you know, what can you do? It is satisfying. In fact, it happens more often than you imagine. When I first started, I thought, what? Do I have to rush back to camp if I need to pee? But no. I had to take a leaf out of the book of the boys. And that's what we do. That is what we do. Hello, Ava. You're 7 years old and from New Zealand. I hope that you are well. You'd like to know a little bit about our rhino. Do we have any in our park? Yes, we do. White rhinos are, I wouldn't say abundant, but there are a lot of them spread out over this whole Transfrontier Park that runs from South Africa to Mozambique. And there are a lot of them spread out. But the reason that we don't show them on our show is that we don't want to be able to give anybody that wants to cause the rhino harm a real-time location on the rhino. So we don't want to be able to tell them maybe they see this power line that you can see running there. There we go. Imagine they see the power line and they can recognize the power line and they know that right now there's a rhino at that power line. So we don't show them to you in order to protect them. But everybody knows that they are in the park and they exist in the park. But the problem is telling them exactly where they are at any point in time. And we don't want to do that. So they are around, Ava. We just don't want to show them to you. But not because we're being nasty. Run. It's run. It's just an Impala. Or two. I am tempted to go back down this road one more time. Just in case. What do you say? Hi Prashant, you'd like to know if my bathroom break doesn't confuse the animals. Definitely don't go for a bathroom break in a sighting. If you need to, then you have to leave the sighting and then come back to it. But most people are understanding of it. Say there are other vehicles in the sighting and it's a full sighting, so there's 3 vehicles. And you can remove yourself. I'll be back shortly. And then you go, and then you can come back in. Of scent, which I always think is fascinating. I'd love to know what animals do when they come across human urine. I'm sure they must give it a sniff. I'm sure of it. And what they detect from it, that I'm quite unsure about. I can only imagine. Sometimes I wonder if they can tell if we're fertile or not. There's so much that changes about the way that you smell when you're going through different things. Whether you're fertile, whether you're pregnant, all those kind of things, whether you're sick, and animals can detect that. So I do wonder. Interesting, right? Anyway, enough about our bathroom breaks. Let's send you over to James, who is not on one. James. Did I call him James? James.
We are now at the den of Rebone, where Trishala came to check earlier today. Lauren checked last night, and there is naught here. Now we're wondering if perhaps Rebone hasn't moved her den. It's possible. It's also possible that she just hasn't returned from her foraging last night. So what we'll do is just drive down through here and check out another den site close by. I always seem to struggle to find it though, so we'll see if we can get there. I think it's just through here. Ooh. An elephant has dug an enormous hole here. No? The hyenas have dug an enormous hole here. You can see some hyena tracks here. So they'll move from time to time, as we know. Quite frequently they'll move. I think it's down this way, if I'm not mistaken. And there was one quite close by to here that she used last time, and that a number of other members of the clan used last time. Now I always mistake it for this thing here, which it is not. And I think if we just carry on down here a little bit, we should find it to the left. I don't know why I find this block so confusing. It's not difficult. Ah, here it is. It's right here. Michael, I don't know how old you are, so I don't know how to answer this question. You want to know why, and the question is, why is it that everybody else sees lions, elephants, what lions, leopards, and wild dogs, and I only see impalas? Is that correct? Here is the hole. Well, Michael, I mean, I don't know that everyone else sees lions, leopards, and wild dogs, and I only see impalas. Could be just because I'm utterly incompetent. I mean, it's not that I particularly enjoy impalas more than anyone else. So I guess it must just be, Michael, because I'm absolutely incompetent at my job. But, you know, during lockdown, it's difficult to get competent people in to places like this. So you just have to make do with those that are always finding lions, leopards, and wild dogs, and people like me who only are able to find impalas. Thank you for your question, Michael. I really enjoyed answering it. We'll now blunder our way out onto the road. Maybe we'll blunder into an Impala, which I shall dedicate to Michael immediately. Wow. Great stuff. Let's go across to the highlight of the day, which will be Sean and Marcel. This time, Sean, who always finds leopards, lions and wild dogs, has in fact found his cameraman.
It is indeed the highlight of the day. It has come to Marcel's mid-morning fun fact. Over to you.
Thanks, Sean. So, the world's deepest scuba dive was done on September the 18th of 2014, and it was done by Egyptian Ahmad Gabr, and that was to 332 meters, and it took him 12 minutes to reach that depth and 14 hours to actually come back up with all the decompression stops. So he personally went through 9 cylinders of breathing gas, and his support team went through over 90 cylinders of breathing gas. And most of the dive was performed on trimix because you need less nitrogen and less oxygen in mixes for diving that deep. And then the decompression was done on nitrox, which is enriched air, so in oxygen enriched air, and then also on pure oxygen. Yeah.
Deep. So I don't know how many of you viewers scuba dive. So when Marcel does his fun facts, he gets very into it, and that's why you can see him wearing a scuba diving t-shirt from Normale Underwater Club. There we go. This is what Marcel lives for. You know, he used to be a technician, he used to be a cameraman, and now he is just a fun fact provider. That's what he does. But yes, for those of you who do scuba dive, that would be a very interesting little bit of information there. I mean, just the time it takes now. Marcel obviously does scuba dive, and imagine doing that. You're going down there, it takes you 12 minutes to get down there, and you probably spend maybe a minute or two actually at that sort of depth. And then it takes you 14 hours to come back up. 14 hours, that's more than half a day. You're stuck underwater. I read a book about scuba diving, and it was all about this mine, this flooded mine just outside of Johannesburg. And there was you should read the book, I don't want to give it all away, but there's a dead body, and it's about rescuing the dead body. And at one stage, the rescue diver spent, I think it was 4 hours sitting at a depth of about 5 meters from the surface. So you can see it. You see the sun, you can see the surface. And he sat there just doing nothing, just floating there for 4 hours.
It was actually relatively close by
to?
Well, it's in South Africa. It's
Yeah, yeah, just outside of Johannesburg. I think it's about 2 or 3 hours outside of Johannesburg. But what they did...
Don Shirley.
Yes, his name was Don Shirley. And they took him soup, and he drank soup underwater.
He actually burst his eardrum on that dive, so I think about 3 hours he spent in complete vertigo. He didn't know what was up and down.
Okay, so Marcel, I don't know if you can hear him, but what he said to me is that during this dive, the guy, Don Shirley, ruptured his eardrum, popped his eardrum, and he spent how long?
I think 3 or 4 hours.
And he says he spent about 3 or 4 hours with vertigo, with his popped eardrum, and very disorientating when you're underwater, especially for that length of time. And yeah, scuba diving, it's a hardcore sport. It is a hardcore sport, hobby, activity. That's why I'm all about scuba diving in Thailand. It's like a swimming pool with fish. There's no currents, it's warm, it's very enjoyable. I do not want to dive in a mine. Yeah, but you should definitely scuba dive. For those of you that don't, do it. It's like this. It's going on safari. Ask Lauren. I believe Lauren's also a marine biologist.
It's water safari, basically.
Exactly. You must start saying it's a water safari. That's exactly what it is.
And diving with sharks.
And yeah, land animals, incredible. Ocean animals, also just mind-blowing. The colors, the shapes, the sizes, the varieties. It's the next step, people. Learn how to scuba dive. A bit hard at the moment. You can practice in your pool, hold your breath. Something like that. But as I was saying previously, yes, so the guys following tracks of lions haven't managed to find them just yet. Although we've had some reports from the south of the reserve, so close to where Rowan was with the wild dogs yesterday. We've had reports of a pride of lions down there. So now there are some people that are investigating there for us. It's very close to the Southern African Wildlife College, which I believe you have seen and been spoken to about. But yeah, very close there. So some people are going to go and investigate, which will be very cool if we got a different pride of lions. So hopefully for those of you tuning in this afternoon, yeah, we could be in store for some pretty cool stuff. Oh, I'm excited, especially with this weather. Still nice, relatively cool. Sun is coming out though, it is warming up, but lots of cloud cover. So if it stays nice and cool, we could be in store for some activity like we had with the wild dogs, which was very special. Very special. But it seems like all of the Impalas have indeed gone across to James, because we haven't seen too many Impalas. No, alive ones at least. That one little baby. So all of ours have vanished. Could be that the lion walked through here and just chased a few things away. But I can't see any fresh tracks. At least not yet. Lots of bird tracks. Birds have been pretty active up and down the road. What I was hoping for is a snake. A question coming in from England, from little 8-year-old Leo. Now Leo, the rarest animal that we have on andBeyond Ngala, I would say it's probably something like an aardwolf or an aardvark. Aardwolf have been seen here before, not in the time that I've been here. I think it was many, many years ago, like very many years ago.
So it's also rarest, as in
Yes. So that's the thing, Leo. It depends now. So the rarest for me, in my mind, would be an aardwolf. Obviously, something like a pangolin is also an extremely rare animal, but I have been quite fortunate. I've seen 6 pangolins in 3 years. So, you know, it depends who you ask. You know, rare in terms of sighting would most likely be the aardwolf. Rare in terms of numbers would be, wild dogs, would be pangolins, would be aardvarks. I've never seen an aardvark or an aardwolf. So I'd say probably one of those two. Hey Leo, one of those two. Although, I must tell you a story. Where we go now, we're going to drive through the river, and this crossing is called Simango Crossing. And there's a monkey called a Simango monkey. Now that monkey does not occur in this area. And last year, or maybe a year and a half ago, one of the rangers saw one Simango monkey. It was just there on the tree. No one has any idea where this monkey came from or where it went. It was there for about a day. It was in the tree by itself, no one else around, just this one Simango monkey, and we've never seen it again. So that's pretty rare, Leo. That is pretty rare. We're not sure, as I said, how it got here. They generally occur at one of our other lodges, andBeyond Pinda, which is down near Durban. It's about 9 hours from here. And yeah, I never got to see the actual monkey, but it was verified. We made like 3 or 4 rangers go and have a look just to confirm it was a Simango monkey. But yeah, quite bizarre. Quite bizarre. And it even caused us, as I said, to rename the crossing. The crossing had another name, but we thought, no, we're going to change it so we can remember how unique and special that sighting actually was for all future guides and future viewers like yourselves. So we're not actually going to go down there. You can see the tracking teams are working off in front of us. That's Yapi and Nikki. But this crossing here is that's a mango crossing. But as I said, they're there, so we're going to turn around, try out some different roads. And in the meantime, we send you across to Trushala.
I am on a different road now too. I rushed so that I could get off the main road. It's not a very pretty road. So I checked out that southern boundary 2 more times after you left me, and still no luck. But that's okay. That's okay. You know, the amount of times I see that you can make one decision or you be at the right place at the right time, and you really can't force that type of thing. So I decided that maybe we'll be lucky in the afternoon. If the dogs are on Chitwa, now it's quite warm, or if they're still on Chitwa, it's quite warm, and it's very unlikely that they'll move too much. So maybe in the afternoon, once the evening starts to set in and it's a little cooler, the dogs will be out and about, and then we can be lucky then. Either way, we have that piece of information to work with. I have not seen many tracks at all, apart from that leopard that was from last night. I might go back at that side. Anyway, guys, if you enjoy the safari and you like what you see and you want us to keep on going, please show us your support by going to the WildEarth support page. In fact, you should see some details down the bottom of your screen now. And it just can help us, or help keep us going. Because we certainly enjoy being out here on safari. And we certainly enjoy being able to show you what Africa has to offer. Hopefully I'll be able to offer you a leopard by the end of the show as well. Hopeful, there is the operative word. I wanted to keep westish until I got sidetracked by the thought of wild dogs. So I'm going to go back that way and then round and towards camp for the last 15 minutes or so of show. Ooh! James has a very pretty fluttery friend. Let's go to him.
We have got a butterfly there, and it is a joker butterfly that's coming to the end of its life, really. And you can see that from the fading of its colors. Now, I would try and attempt to show you this on my butterfly app on my phone, but I think I have dropped my phone somewhere in the wilderness, which is not really a very good thing at all. Oh well, guess I'll have to go back and look for it. I think it was the shocking question from Michael that caused great consternation in my being. Anyway, so that is a joker, and I think it is the spotted joker. And unfortunately, he is now absconded. So they start to fade like that as they come to the end of their lives. Some butterflies do have a lot of different kind of color morphs, but I think that particular one was a faded and dying example of the spotted joker. Right, on we go, Owen. We're going to have to do a bit of a U-turn here in these slightly tricky conditions. get a nice butterfly. Abby, you're 14 in Dubai. Yes, we do get giraffe here quite often, but they tend to come and go. Which butterfly are we looking at, Owen?
You see on the end of the green thing, he's got white wings.
On the end of the green thing. Now, Owen, that could mean one of about 7,000 plants that I'm looking at. Have you still got it?
It's still going on. Yes. You see the sticking out into the road, there are two green sort of creepers.
Yes.
The end of the one green creeper, and he's got folded wings with white, orange on them.
I must be unsighted. He says white with orange on it.
Yeah, so he's almost 90, sort of straight, like looking. His smallest footprint you could possibly have. If you went up towards the bonnet and looked down.
Okay, let me do that.
And another one's just flown off. Stick pointing at right angles, dog leg into the road. The wings going.
I don't think I've gone blind. Oh, yes, I see it now. Well done, Owen. I think it's an orange tip.
Got a better one, exactly the same. You see that stick that comes right angles into the road?
Yes.
There's one at the end of what it's pointing at.
That's what I'm looking at. That's the one I got. Spotted. On a positive note, I've just heard my phone buzz. So clearly it is in the car somewhere, and I should be able to find the orange tip for you in it if I had access to it, but I shall have to do that later. Ah, very good. Orange tip butterfly, and I eventually got a view of it. It's very autumnal today, in fact almost wintry. Here it is. Let me find the butterfly for you. You got him again. So there are lots of different variations of the orange tip, but I'm pretty sure that's what we got. And interestingly, they like to feed on this flower that is around at the moment called Vernonia, the purple flower. When you're ready, Owen. Can you see that one?
It's tilted down towards the car. No, maybe tilted towards this one. Yeah, that's best.
Again. Butterfly, I don't think this one's dying. This one looks still pretty bright coloured. The screen brightness won't go up anymore in this light, I'm afraid.
Tilt down again, tilt. So you've got the sun.
Yeah, the light's just, the sun's just directly behind it, so it's not going to work. Sorry about that. Anyway, there it is. See, Michael, I can also find butterflies. What a day. Tough day out here in the wilderness. Chris, no one else has been able to find Impala today. You make a very good point. Except the wild dogs, and they murdered theirs. So I think I'm better than the wild dogs. I found lots of Impala, and I didn't murder any of them. Let's move along. Yes, we don't need to do a U-turn after all. It was actually under my bottom. I was sitting on it. What a relief. It's a very similar feeling as when you find 100 rand in your pocket and you didn't realize it was there. No, I'm afraid I got about 10% of that one. You're going to have to try again, Natalie. Oh, Lava Williams. Hello, Lava Williams, or Rava Williams, I couldn't tell which. You say, how was I lying on the hood just now wearing shorts? Wasn't it hot? No, it was warmish. It certainly wasn't hot. I mean, I think that if your hood or bonnet is so hot that you can't touch it or lie on it, you may well have a problem with your engine. It was very pleasantly warm, actually. No, not too hot at all. Lava, or rather. Okay, let's go back to Sean and find out if he's found another pack of wild dogs yet. It certainly wouldn't surprise me.
James, I have not found wild dogs, but I have found 3 Impalas that are all alive. And I just thought we haven't seen too many. So here are 3 Impalas, James. Some are coming like you now. I also saw a warthog over there, but nothing else. Yeah, it ran away. Warthog is pretty unrelaxed out here. There used to be one that we got in the camp, which was... Is he still there? Oh, there we go. So Marcel sees him. So there's one that lives around the camp, and he's very relaxed.
And he's a proper sized.
He is a big boy. No, he is a big boy, that one. But out here, you find them very unrelaxed. But we just headed down this road here. We were just having a look, seeing what's coming into. There's a couple of open areas here, some plains and some water holes. I was just seeing if there was anything of interest here for us. But there's not, although on the way we did see a buffalo. Just one guy by himself, probably an old male, relaxing in a water hole. So we'll pop back there, have a look, see if he's still there, see what he's up to. As I said, it is getting much hotter now. You see I've derobed, taken off my blanket, taken off my jacket. It's turning into a very nice day. Ah, buffalo's still there though. He is standing. He is standing. There he is. Quite a big boy. He's got a good looking set of horns there. We're going to turn over here and see if Marcel can get him. Oh, sorry, we're just spider webbing the lens here. There you can see him. Very, very thick set of horns there on his head, but they droop very low down. See, as they sort of go from his head, they go straight down there by the ears. We're going to go a little bit closer. Now, the water hole's just off to his right. That's what he's looking at longingly. It's a bit of water. Let's see, we stop over here. We can get Marcel to zoom in. Now, you can see his horns, especially when he's looking, how much they dip down. So, I've found that you look at a herd of buffalo and they're all very different. Some horns go down, some go more wide, more out. They're all different. They're all unique. You can see this one's a male. Firstly, as I said, because he's by himself, tell us he's a male. And also because his horns are so big, they are so thick. The boss, that's the horns on top of the forehead. Only the males have that big boss because that's what they use to fight. So that's another way that we would know he's a male. And it looks like he's got 4 oxpeckers on him as well. Or he just tried to flick one off. All seem to be red-billed. Although there does also look to be a juvenile one there. That's the one that's closest to us. There we go, the one closest to us. You can see he's a bit darker on the face, doesn't have that telltale red bill. Just because he's young, he will grow into it. A buffalo, the bird on the horns. So I think that bird was in the ear. Oh, Doug. So Doug, I would say this guy here, you can see, as I said, he's big, he's alone. He doesn't seem to have too many scars on his face. He seems to be in, somewhat of a good condition, Doug. So I would say he's probably between sort of 15 and 18. So Doug wanted to know how old this buffalo was. So Doug, yeah, I'd say between 15 and 18. A buffalo will live maybe 20, 22, 24, depending on the lions. So he's old. So I'd say he's at least 15, possibly up towards 18 as well. Because if you look, as I said, so look at his side now. There's not too many scars. He's still got quite a fair amount of hair. Looking pretty good. Still very muscular. So yeah, I'll stick with my estimate. So I'll be sticking to my estimate between 15 and 18, Doug. But let's have a look where he's going. But you can't see any mud on his side. Well, at least not on this side closest to us. As I said, when we came here though, he was lying in the water. But let's see, maybe he's going to some more water. There wasn't enough in that small little pan. A lot of the water holes are actually drying up at the moment. We're getting a lot of sun. So a lot of these small little, we call them pans, are drying up. So he's got to go to a more permanent source. But have a look here, because now we're on the right side in terms of sun. Have a look at his ears. Joanne, yes we do. So Jan wanted to know, do we get serval cats? So Jan, yes. Nocturnal animals, so they come out at night. We don't see them very regularly. Servals, if I have seen maybe 10 sightings of servals, and I would say 7 of those was the same serval. He had a very relaxed one, stayed in the same area, so we saw him almost every night, every second or third night. But I haven't seen a serval in, this year I haven't seen one. So Jan, yes we do, but not often. But I was saying, see if you can have a look at the buffalo's left ear. So on our right hand side, on the right hand side of your screen there, the one that he's actually hiding now. I'm going to go a little bit forward. Because see how tattered that ear is. Let's see if we can, oh look at that. So you can see this game path that this buffalo is actually following down this game path. But hopefully he'll turn his head, look directly at us, and you can see his ear very, very tattered. That's another way, Doug, how we can judge their age. Seems to be walking quite laboriously, so maybe he's a little bit older than 18. But what we're going to do, we are going to move. We don't want to block his path. You can see the game path that he is walking down, this little trail. And it's just easier for him to walk there. We don't want to stop him from doing that. So we're just going to move, let him carry on going where he's going to go. Probably go and lie down for the day, which is exactly what I plan on doing. So everybody, thank you very much for a fantastic morning. I think it's been very special with the butterflies and the impalas from James and the spiders and the mongoose and the buffaloes and the wild dogs. Thank you for the kids, and we will be seeing all of you later on this afternoon. So have a wonderful day and see you all later.